We've reached the tail end of 2025, and you would think that at the end of the year, entering the winter season, post the World Championship, that Flesh and Blood might be settling down for a long winter's nap. But one hero decided to take the weekend by storm and turn up the heat. Kano Kassai of Aether brought the fire and finally reached the living legend status. And what did that mean? Well, it meant that the hero post today is no longer going to be playable, thanks to a win at the Battle Hardened in Valencia. But it didn't stop there on the weekend for old Kano Kassai of Aether. No, he was looking to cement himself with a storybook finish. So today, let's take a look at the finals of the Calling in Seattle between Zach Miller on Kano Kassai of Aether and Christopher Iali. Chris Iali himself on Kassai of the Golden Sand. You know I'm going to have to talk about this game. These are two of perhaps my top three favorite heroes in Classic Constructed, maybe even just in the game of Flesh and Blood. Kano was my favorite hero in the game of Flesh and Blood for years, and most recently lost out on some of those beautiful tomes and draw card effects, and his deck transformed, and then Kassai overtook him. I would say this matchup is so much fun to play from both perspectives. I have played this matchup from both perspectives. Kassai is now my favorite deck and has been for the better part of, I don't know, a year and a half at this point. And Kano probably sits as my third favorite deck in the game of Flesh and Blood in this, and now will no longer be legal in the Classic Constructed metagame because it did indeed reach that living legend status. But this is a really interesting matchup because you would look at this and think it's very Kano favored, and you would be right if you thought that. Chris Iali fought his way to the finals here and doesn't particularly want to be staring down a Kano Kassai of Aether, particularly if they find a wildfire, you know, in turn 0 or turn 1, something like that. But there are ways for Kassai to win this game. There's a lot of people out there that underrate Kassai's threatening damage, that her numbers are maybe just middling, that she wants to play a mid-range game. But here's the thing about Kassai, especially the way that Chris has built it. Kassai can put down some massive numbers very quickly, and also has access to a card called Take It on the Chin, as you saw featured a moment ago. That card made its way into the arsenal for Chris. That is one avenue, one path to victory that Chris indeed does have to pressure the life total of Kano, which is something you always want to do, and then hide behind a Take It on the Chin. But here, Zach Miller on his own turn is going to toss over a Sonic Boom, presenting that damage. It's going to hit a Gaze off the top, and that is going to allow Gaze to resolve. And because Sonic Boom has been played, Gaze is going to resolve into the hand as well. This also gives a Wildfire here in the hand the opportunity to be pocketed in the arsenal. We see a lesson was pitched to play this turn out and have the capacity maybe with these two cards to order them, and then Kano one or both in order to actually play them out. On your own turn, you do have the blue that is going to be resolving into the hand. It's going to orient those that way and then draw that blue into his hand. And it looks like he is going to chuck the Ruby Amulet out. And now he has a choice. He has the ability to arsenal a Gaze or arsenal Wildfire. Normally, arsenaling Wildfire is just the ticket. He's not going to look down. I wonder if he thinks he arsenaled the Wildfire. He has the Wildfire in the hand, so he did it with such confidence. Perhaps there's not even a worry there. Either way, on to Chris's side. And Chris, the goal for Kassai is to put massive amounts of damage on the board over the course of about 3 turns, and or combine that alongside of this card, which is exactly what you want to see early in the game, and play Blood Follows Blade with a resource floating, with the ability to maybe swing this in over the next couple of turns, because you know that Kano is basically never going to remove this. There are a smattering, if you will, of cards that you can actually, use to target things on the board from the Kano side of things, but you're never going to throw those add a sellsword. You're always going to present that in the combo turn to our opponent. And Zach very well set up to do some comboing himself. He's got the wildfire from that previous turn. He has the capacity to use it out right now. He could just block and play a little slower. He is feathering a card here, maybe possibly looking to pitch that card and, you know, find some stuff off the top. But it looks like instead he's most likely going to be blocking with it, presenting it towards the combat chain. It is a blue in hand, has the capacity to maybe block with that. You do want to establish a potion or two. He does have a D-pot in hand. He is going to Kano, in fact, with that card. So 5 damage on the stack, finds a Gaze the Ages. This is the second Gaze. The other one played on the previous turn, pitched after the fact. Actually, no, sorry, it's in the arsenal. That's right, he chose to arsenal that second Gaze the Ages, that first Gaze the Ages. Here, he needs, in order for that to resolve to his hand, he needs to play out another card. And so he has a couple of options. He has a Kindle, which means he can draw off the top if he dumps his hand. He has a D-pot, which you would love to have on the board. He has a Wildfire in the hand. Now, you have a blind opt off the top that you don't know. I should say not a blind opt. It's more of a blind reveal because Kano would actually reveal that. So if you choose to pop Kano here and not do any tricks or shenanigans, then you would just be looking for whatever's on the top. But you have the capacity, if you can sequence you know, that Wildfire or a spell off the top first, you could find something else with that Gaze. The deck is now full of so many zero cost, like just pings, things like that, that you have a decent shot at finding some stuff. The only ones you end up missing on are like Open the Floodgates, which we see one in the pitch zone right there. He's going to pitch away that D-pot to activate the Crucible that will basically dump the hand unless he wants to Ragamuffins here, so that he can access the Wildfire. Do keep in mind he is going to also draw a card off of the Kindle, so he would hopefully have resources. He is going to Ragamuffins here. He's going to swap. It does look like if you make it that fast, it's most likely a blue that you're swapping into. He's going to take that card. Let's see. No, it's a yellow. Oh, that's super unfortunate. Okay, so having a second lesson hit the pitch zone. The first one was earlier in the game. You would love to have a lesson and have that available. He is going to still continue with the combo. This is a mini combo that you're doing off of Ragamuffin's hat and at instant speed. He's going to pitch another D-pot. See, that's unfortunate. You would love to have those in circulation in hand. He's going to resolve the Gaze. You have now officially played another wizard card, so that Gaze will resolve into the hand at the end. And let's take a look. What does he have? He has a Clarity Potion and can't quite... Oh, no, it's just a blue Prognosticate, so just 1 measly damage. Clarity Potion, it's pretty poor to see that on top. I wouldn't be surprised to see that sink to the bottom. I mean, you don't really have a ton of... It's always good to establish potions. As Kano, you want to be able to throw stuff on the board because it makes comboing so much easier. At the same time, Clarity Potion seems like the worst possible... Yeah, he's going to send both to the bottom. The worst possible thing to actually establish. It's going to resolve the Gaze to the hand. Doesn't know what the top is. He knows that he's seen 2 lessons go by already. He has 5 effective resources, maybe 6 if he chooses to drop the old knocker. He has a Gaze in the arsenal. Now, you could do some weird stuff. You could pop Striders and Gaze here, but that would be such an overcommittal, especially when you don't know if any combo piece is lurking on the top, and you actively know that 2 of them are in pitch in circulation. Instead, it looks like he's just going to Kano. Floating 2 finds just another 0 for 1. In this case, it is Arcane Twining, choosing whether or not he wants to use nodes here. He has 2 floating. Not really sure what you want to do there. And this is a great time to respond with Take It on the Chin. I also want to point out that from Chris's side of things and just from Kassai's perspective in general, you're not running more than AB1. You don't throw AB2 or AB3 in the board, and if you do, you're not really making effective use of it. You have so many reds and yellows in your deck. Yes, depending on what type of build you have on Kassai, you could have up to 18 blues. But at the same time, those blues are oftentimes pitched to start your turn off, and then at that point, you're basically floating 2 resources anyway, so you might as well have had, AB2 and had a yellow. He is going to choose to pop the old knocker here, and that's going to give him 3 resources. He could maybe Kano again, find something off the top. If it's another blue spell, then you get to go blue, blue 0 cost into blue 0 cost. Oh, and he doesn't hit. So this is very unlucky. A photon splicing is not what you want to see as well. This one cost 1. He has exactly 1 short, and he's 1 short because he hit the Lesson in Lava in the hand as the yellow off of the Ragamuffin's hat. So he's able to just send the extra 5 damage here. And Chris gets out of this turn relatively unscathed. Again, with the AB1, you're really just looking to see and find off the top those take it on the chins. If he's running Oasis, which maybe he's got Sigil. He played a Sigil at the very beginning of the game on turn 0. So if you can find another copy of Sigil, those are things that you want to have parked in Arsenal so that you can, oh, and he finds another Sigil, the beautiful Sagrada Familia Sigil, but I think is it an all red hand? He plays the Outland Skirmish red. He plays the second Outland Skirmish red. And at this point, has to decide he's going to pitch the Sharpened Steel. This is something new that's been added to this Kassai list. This, by the way, I just have to stop and say, this Kassai list is really the culmination of the 0 cost go again, basic enablers being like the where the deck ends up, right? The deck has pushed itself towards this logical conclusion of 0 cost go agains, not pitching anything if you can avoid it, like this side of things. And it's coming off of like, the creation of Unsheathed, and it's using all of these like pre-buffs like Sharpened Senses. So now you can play out these 0 for 3s that you couldn't play before in Sharpened Steel to actually combine with one of those yellow 0 cost, +1s, and essentially get, this almost pitchless version of Kassai going in certain scenarios. Kassai, so underrated. One of the coolest heroes in the game, playing against one of the other coolest heroes in the game in Kano, Drakai of Aether. He's going to resolve the Gaze the Ages. He's going to opt the top. He finds a D-pot on top. If he kept a blue in hand, then he has the capacity to Kano that off the top and play that D-pot out. That would actually be relatively good. But instead, going to Arsenal and simply draw up, passing with 21 life, feeling pretty comfortable. But Chris sitting at 32. AB1, probably just a copy or 2 of Take It on the Chin, depending on who you are and if you like that card. Like I run 3 of that card because I think it's incredible. He's going to crack a gold pitching there, making his swords free. And again, not a ton of blues. He does have a blue in this hand to work with. He's got a lot of damage though. He's got draw swords. He has a blue to pitch into draw swords if he wants to put more damage on the board. He did, I think, have a yellow in the hand as well. This is not the type of game where you want to play out any sort of raise an army strategy. Instead, you just want to put 0 for 3s, 0 for 4s, things like that on the board. He does have a red attack reaction in the hand and Blade Flurry, which is effectively a 0 for 4 across 2 chain links, across 2 swords. And over on the side of Zach Miller, he draws into a beautiful 2-card hand. If he wants to give the other cards to block, as often you do with Kano, he can choose to block 2 cards over the course of this turn, and he can keep the gem plus the Aether Spindle and send a Spindle for 6. And there is the go again granted off of the blue Blade Runner having to pitch that yellow Slice and Dice, and the Blade Flurry coming across, so it buffs up to 4. Doesn't have any danger at this point of maybe dying. I think you always kind of have to be afraid of dying to a Kano, but after they've blocked 1 card, you start to feel far more comfortable, especially when you see that 1 card is a blue. Of course, they could be blue flooded. That does sometimes happen in Kano, where you just hit all blues, or you just hit all reds. But once they've blocked, you start to get a lot more comfortable from the Kassai side to recognize that they're probably going to block with at least 1 more card. Oh, and a Cindering Foresight red is fantastic. Finds a Blazing Aether on the top, along with a yellow and a blue open the floodgates. unless you've really set up a lot of potions or set up a lot of stuff, you don't really want to see those open the floodgates in your hand. You don't really have the resources to hit a big combo with them, but you could be happy to see them in a matchup where your opponent is only presenting AB1, because you have far more likelihood with a wildfire to get those to draw and then start cycling. In this hand configuration, though, you still don't see the wildfire, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see all three of these go to the bottom. It looks like that is going to be the case. He's going to send all three to the bottom. He has Ruby Amulet on the board. He has the ability to throw one card in front of this and send a Spindle for 6 off of the pitch of the gem plus the activation of Crucible. That's a fantastic turn. Chris just considering his options. They're both clapping politely. I guess there's like an announcement or something. He's going to Kano, actually. Instead of blocking here, he's going to Kano. Sees the top, considering his options. You know, it is always worth maybe taking a look instead of blocking 3 here on the second swing or the Centauri Cell Sword. You do have the +1 up in the air from the Cindering Foresight. He's going to leave it on the top. I wonder if that's another Kindle. That would be just a backbreaker of a thing to see off the top, especially when you could have blocked 3. Instead, you are going to eat that damage, take the 3, and then probably take the 5, putting it down to an effective 12. Oh, and then gaining 3 right away. Instead of parking that in Arsenal, you're going to park another card in Arsenal. I think it was a Draw Swords, red. Parked that in Arsenal as well. Instead, I should say. And finally, over to Zach. He's going to finally play on his own turn a little bit after deliberating on Chris's turn. He's going to pitch the Will of Arcana. He's going to activate the Crucible, and then he's going to send Spindle for 6. This is a fantastic play, and this was what kind of made me fall in love with Kano back in the day. Doing some blocking, some light blocking on your opponent's turn, making effective use of cards that you weren't going to use on your own turn, and then going to your turn, and then playing something like this. It's innocuous. It's 6 arcane damage. Like a 2-card 6 is just on rate, and heroes that are just out there in the game just do it better. But for Kano, when you have the capacity to pay a little extra and throw stuff on your opponent's turn, you are so rewarded for doing a play like this. And the Opt 6 here very much rewards, because the 3rd copy of Lesson in Lava is found directly next to Wildfire. And on top of that, there are 4 blues. Now, if you wanted to put this combo together completely where you just draw the 4 blues, you would need 3 for the Kano, 2 for the Wildfire, 3 for the Lesson in Lava, 1 for the Lesson in Lava to actually play it. And then you would need 3 more for the blazing that you're going to find off the lesson. So that would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. I think it's 13 total if you want to throw Crucible on. Now, you can do that because you have Ruby Amulet on the board. And then I think you have 1 extra, so you could also Metacarpus Node here. And it looks like he did indeed draw the 4. So he has the capacity to present a big chunk of damage. Let's say that your opponent here, as Chris, with a 3-card hand, has the ability to AB like 3 times. AB1 3 times. You would then be able to like math out how much damage you can present total, because you have all the information at your disposal. You know that Wildfire is going to cost you 2. You know that the lesson's on top, and that's going to cost you 1. To access all of those, you're going to need 9 resources. He's going to Crucible here. That's going to cost him 1 extra, which means he's going to pop the Ruby Amulet on this turn. Metacarpus Node is going to be activated as well, which means I think he is now completely resource face up from his perspective. Like, every resource is now accounted for, and this is how you want to do it. You want to put everything on the Wildfire so it spills over into Lesson, into Blazing. And if your opponent's only on AB1, at this point you've got 6 on Wildfire, it would go to 5. You've got Lesson, which would go to 8, then go to 7. And it would buy all the cards from Chris's hand if he then ABs the final time on... Oh, and he has a blue. Okay, that's actually very good for him. So the wildfire is going to go for 5. Actually, it doesn't matter if he has a blue or not because you're trying to math him to death essentially at this point. But the blue actually does matter because he keeps cards in his hand. So the Lesson in Lava is going to come off the top. And that is going to present 5 plus 3 is 8 damage. It will come over for 7 because we see the resources floating. So 7 will be presented. And then 7 plus 5 is going to be 12 plus the 5 is 17. So I think, well, hold on. I think he should be at 17. Yeah, I think he should be exactly at 17 because 5 plus 7 is 12. So he should be at 17. If he's at 16, this is perfect lethal, and it is literally... oh, no, he's at 17. Okay, so then he would be alive. From this combo, he'd be alive at 1 because he does not have an extra resource with which to pitch into Metacarpus Node one more time. Any other energy on the board, a single point of energy on the board, would give him guaranteed lethal unless there was another Take It on the Chin, and that would have already been played. But instead, I think he leaves Chris at exactly 1. And Chris pitching a blue here means he has a 2, but he's waiting on the resolution of Draw Swords. And in doing so, the resolution of Draw Swords gives him the card and +3s. Now, he does need to have Go again. Yeah, it's going to push him all the way down to 1. Blazing does indeed, but he has no cards with which to block. So Chris just has to look across the table and find a total of 12 damage, which again, I'm going to say it, Kassai has the capacity to do. He has a Blood Follows Blade, which could represent an extra swing, and he hits the Blade Flurry off the top. The Blade Flurry is so cracked here, and he has the Go again as well. He has the Unsheathed, so +3 from the Unsheathed, +3 from the Draw Swords. This is 8 damage on the stack, and he just has pure lethal. Straight up pure lethal. This is what I mean. Kassai can put way more damage together over the course of 4 turns. This is turn 4 than anyone expects or respects. That's 10 damage on the board. Zach knows he has no outs at this point. Even just another sword swing would do it, but he can pitch in Centauri Saber, or Centauri Sellsword I should, and Centauri Sellsword takes the win. Kassai of the Golden Sand wins her perhaps worst matchup and spoils what could have been the greatest finish, the storybook finish for Kano. Kano does indeed go out in a blaze of glory thanks to the win over in the battle-hardened Valencia, but almost did it here, did Zach. Zach almost had the perfect storybook ending, but instead, my third favorite hero was robbed by my first favorite hero in Kassai of the Golden Sand by one of my favorite players of all time, Chris Iali. Congratulations to him, and what a game that was. If you enjoy this type of content and you want to watch more of this going on, let me know that in a comment below, and of course, make the number go to the other number. As always, thanks for watching.